Today we're eating curry and rice and some cucumber juice. And I just wanted to show you, apparently nobody else takes these things but me when I go to pick up the free food. Now, if you look at the ingredient list, it's very easy to follow how to make this. You know, most of the stuff that's in here is at the beginning, and the thing that there's less of is at the end. So just give it a whirl. I don't understand why people don't try to learn how to make things for themselves. It's really not that hard. And the guess of the woman who gives out the food at the Salvation Army, that's what she thinks is, well, people just don't know how to make that stuff, and they don't, you know, it's not a part of their culture or whatever, so they don't try it, right? Try it.
You might like it.
You might like it. Then if you do like it, well, it's easy to figure out how to make it, because the ingredients are right there. Not that hard. I mean, I don't mind if you don't take it, because then we get to eat it. So yay. Lucky us. So were you going to talk more about the same...
No, I'm going to talk about something different.
Okay.
Believe me, those topics aren't going away. So Pauline's talking about Illiberal Education by Denise D'Souza, dating from 1991. And what was the other one? It's by Christopher Lash, dating from 1995, about the revolt of the elites. The revolt of the revolting elites.
Okay.
So he's basically talking about the educational elite. He's mainly talking about the United States, but it applies here in Canada, it applies in Europe. And the corporatist elite, they're both pretty bad. Actually, the people involved in education are worse. They are awful liars. The corporationists, they will let you have free speech. Of course, they're exercising it to the point they're lying on. It's Madison Avenue, right? They lie about this, they lie about that. But the powers that be in the educational stuff, and this is private as well as public. Harvard and Stanford are awful places. They were awful 30 years ago, and they're worse now. They're crushing free speech, and that's the trouble. They're lying, and then they don't like you to tell the truth. The corporatists, they don't care whether you're telling the truth or not. They'll just tell their lies and hope a lot of it sticks. A huge difference, really. It's appalling. You flunkies in the educational, advanced education, and it's the lower stuff too, like teachers. But it's shameful when you are worse than globalizing corporatist corporations. You're worse because you lie too, and you're so stupid you actually believe your lies, and or you believe in their moral value. You're virtuous liars. You're pious frauds. And then you want to crush other people who are actually telling the truth. You can't stand it. Because you know down deep it's the truth. Down deep. You're not that stupid. Well, maybe you are. I like to give you a little bit of credit.
I don't think they're stupid.
What was that?
I don't think they're stupid.
Well, then they're venal. They're awful.
They think that
they're disgusting.
By lying, they believe in the good lie.
Exactly right. Yeah. The virtuous lie.
Yeah.
It's worse than good. It's virtuous. And they scorn George Bush for talking about axis of evil. Oh my God. These guys are worse than Christians, at least nowadays Christians, for their virtue and demonizing others. They're always talking about how right-wingers other people. But holy smokes, these guys they're othering here and othering there. They're othering mothers. Anyway. Going from the ridiculous to the sublime, or what some people think is sublime. I'm a huge fan. He's a pretty good poet. The poems, got no good decent cover here. The poems of Schiller, translated into English by a dude called Edgar A. Bowring. This is the second edition, revised, and it dates to 1874, second edition. And the first edition, 1851. So it doesn't necessarily come recommended because it's written very much in the Victorian style. Huge amounts of inversion. That's where you reverse proper word order.
Just give an example. Probably find one on any page.
Well, I'll go with Hymn to Joy, or as it's known from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, Ode to Joy, or in German, An die Freude. Joy, thou goddess, fair, immortal offspring of Elysium, mad with rapture, to this portal of thy lovely fane we come. No, we come.
Oh wow, that one's rich. Wow, that wasp is cheeky. They'll fly off with a chunk of fish.
Yeah,
I'm just going to try to...
Yeah, if you would.
I don't know if it'll work. He might go into there anyway. Wasps are pretty bright.
To the portal of thy holy fame we come. No, we come to the portal of thy holy fame. Fashion's laws indeed may sever, but thy magic joins again. All mankind are brethren ever. No, all mankind are ever brethren, or something like that. Neath thy mild and gentle reign. Welcome, all ye myriad creatures, brethren, take the kiss of love. Yes, the starry realms above hide a Father's smiling features. He that noble prize possessing, he possessing that noble prize. See how he's...
Yeah.
And inversion, people should have been telling people, way back when, right, using English word order. That's how we do our grammar. And we've been doing it probably since Chaucer's time. You look at Chaucer, and he reads old-fashioned, and one of the reasons is he's inverting word order. And he's Middle English. You can mix up word order in Old English, where there's lots and lots of word endings and junk like that to tell you what's happening. But with Middle English, it started to change. Definitely by the time of Shakespeare, Shakespeare's modern English. You look at his poetry, and it's awful. It's god-awful. It's god-d-awful. I don't know how they can put in all good conscience so much Shakespeare into the usual English anthology of poetry. Now when it comes to writing blank verse, because he was a lousy at rhyming. He was a rhymer, in the worst sense of the word. Then the word order isn't messed up so much, so often. But we know a lot of his plays are written in prose. And he doesn't mess around with the word order. So by 1600, there's just no excuse for it. It's a long time ago. Anyway, 250 years or so after Shakespeare, this guy's inverting the word order. So that's why it doesn't come really recommended. Unless you're into that kind of thing. I'll whip through this fairly quickly. I know a fair amount of Greek and Roman mythology, classical mythology, so it doesn't slow me down as much. Plus, Pauline and I have been looking through that kind of stuff, right? The Greek mythology. So I'm kind of up on it more than I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, you've been really pounding her back.
So that meant I wasn't like stumbling over stuff, you know, like whatever. Anyway, this guy's better known, I think, as a dramatist. He dates from Schiller. I'm not talking about Bowring, the translator. Schiller, I think he was born 1759. It's a long time ago. Over 250 years ago.
Oh, I see him. He's a little chickadee. Wow, that's a fantastic song he's got.
Yeah, it's fairly loud. Sometimes little critters can make loud sounds. The best howler we had amongst our chihuahuas was, the loudest was 5.5 pounds. Our little 3.5 pound chihuahua. It took her many months to discover her voice. I thought she was shy and totally quiet. Got a very loud bark. So Schiller dates from 1759, and he was born in Marburg on the Neckar. I think that's the river that Heidelberg is on, famous university. Is Stuttgart on the Neckar? I think it is too. That's kind of like southwestern Germany. Later on in his life, he became a friend with Goethe. And what was Goethe's full name? Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. This guy's full name was, I think it was Johann Christoph Friedrich von Schiller. I guess the von indicates that they were aristocrats or pretending to be.
Wow. Flies and wasps this time of year. Makes dining outside tough.
Almost unappetizing. But this stuff is good, so.
Yeah, I got through it.
I just got to make sure I don't swallow a wasp.
Yeah,
tough going down.
Oh my god. That would be terrible.
Well, people do that. Sometimes
do you like
they
my
develop.
snort?
I didn't know this. But they will swallow a wasp and they develop an allergic reaction and a sting inside.
That's terrible. I'm sure it happens. I've never
they
done
can
it.
die because the air passages,
I'm very glad
the
I've
lining
never done
swells
it.
up, right?
But you know, I guess I eat things that wasps aren't really keen on. They're going to go after your fish. They're not going to go after my rice and peas and stuff.
I think they eat meat, but they're cruising around here.
Yeah, well, they'll eat sweet things too, because they like going after people's
Soda?
Coca-Cola and stuff like that.
Yeah. Seen that before. Anyway, these guys, Goethe and Schiller, they started out kind of like romantics, and Sturm und Drang, which is storm and throng, cognates, but it would be just kind of like storm and stress, maybe. Better translation. Sometimes it's best to not go with a cognate.
Oh my gosh.
And Goethe especially reacted against romanticism. Even though he was there, I guess, kind of like at the beginning of a German literature. You know, when I was young, teenager, and even in my 20s, I was enthused about romanticism, romantic poetry, and the latter-day manifestation of it in our time. The hippy-dippy stuff in the 60s, and it's still going on with these idiots who are now getting put out to pasture at universities. It's great to be a romantic. It's important when you're a kid digging Rousseau. Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. And stuff like that. It's for teenagers, and it's important to be that way. It's important to have ideals, but it's also important to grasp what's happening in reality. Unfortunately, these guys reacted in a bad way. They became classicists. And they believed in form, which is good, actually, in poetry.
It's such a silly
and in verse
thing.
plays. But, like digging up the past, like referring to Venus and Apollo and again and again and again. It's been done and done at least as well, like by now, 2,000 years ago. So, sometimes it's good to refer to these things, but constant reference to junk like that is a little wearing. I prefer Yeats' approach, where he'll refer to classical myth, and then boom, he's referring to Irish myths. I prefer it if Schiller had had the classical stuff and then talked about Germanic myth, the way I guess Wagner did it eventually. But he could have been referring to Wotan, which is the German equivalent of Odin, of Norse mythology and stuff like that. And it's basically the same thing. Wednesday in English is named after the English equivalent. Wood means angry, like Odin or Wotan in Shakespearean. What was that? Kept them off, eh?
Well, yeah, it looks like.
Pretty good.
I thought I saw one going under there, but looks like it's good. I don't know why.
Anyway, the early stuff there's a bit too much romanticism. The later stuff, middle stuff, there's too much classicism for my taste. But maybe you'll really enjoy one or the other or both. Now again, this thing, we got compliments of the library. Pretty sure we got it free.
Discard.
They were just dumping it. Right?
Probably.
We're dumping a lot of stuff. This, I doubt, would have cleared the stacks very frequently. But they should have held on to it. I mean, Schiller's, they say he's considered the top German historical dramatist, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maria Stuart is probably how they pronounce it. What are some of the other ones? Wilhelm Tell, which is kind of legend history. What were some of the other? Don Carlos, I think that's historical.
Okay.
Semi-historical. There's quite a few others. He died about age 46 somewhere around there. So his friend Goethe lived a lot longer. He was 10 years older and lived until 1832. So that's about 27 years after him. He had a fuller life of work. And Goethe was fairly impressive. He's also a scientist. What Schiller did outside of poetry and drama, Goethe did drama as well. He's better known, I should say, as a poet. But this guy was also a historian. So, pretty impressive, both of those dudes. I'm not a big fan of their poetry, although there's one thing by, what is it, by Goethe? It's just a short thing. I think it's like a Wanderer's Song or something like that. And it's talking about in all the treetops, all still. In all the hilltops, all still. And then it says, just you wait. Pretty soon you're going to be arrested. And it's more than just travel. It's life. Pretty soon you're going to be arrested. It's just a short little thing. And he does a good job. That's good. I wish I remembered. I translated that one into English verse. I remember in the original he's rhyming on Wipfel and Gipfel. So all you folks out in Germany, Austria, or around the world who speak German, hopefully you appreciate Goethe and Schiller too.
All right. Well, that's all you had to talk about?
Yeah, for now.
All right. Good.